Welcome to Bitter Reality Brewing. This is the Brewtubers 2021 Saison Yeast Experiment. And if you're not sure who Brewtubers are, it is an online club. It is free to join. If you are a paid member, you get a little extra privileges and you kind of help things out, and you get a kind of a very cool shirt, which I've already gotten stuff on it today even. But got a cool OGFG in the back. It's very nice. First, my apologies out to the fellow Brewtubers. I am probably the last one in the group to get this done, and I am working to get it done. I did have some things between the moving, getting set up, getting all new lighting. That took a couple of weeks. But even between illness and travel for a week, it was more procrastination than anything else. It's sometimes you get on these little things, and then other times you're like, yeah, I'll get to it, and you just don't. My apologies, sincere apologies for that. I should have gotten it done and knocked it out, but doing it now, and I want to do it my way. I will break things up and have individual pieces, but I first want to make sure that I go over the entire subject for everyone out there, and so that everyone understands a little bit of what's going on. Don't forget, like, subscribe, keep sharing, and here's a word from the Brewtuber sponsors. They're not Bitter Reality sponsors, they are Brewtuber sponsors, and they are companies that you know and a lot of companies that you've done business with. And here it goes.
This is the 2021 Brewtubers Online Brewers Club Yeast Experiment number 2, Saison. Thank you to our sponsors, Imperial Yeast, 5 Star Chemicals, Beer and Wine Hobby Homebrew Supply Store, Brewing America, all stainless steel mash paddle sponsors. Also Hopsteiner and Yakima Chief Hops. Get brewing.
I want to go over all of the beers and a little bit of everything, and then I will go over them individually as I do the taste testing, which will take some time because I want to spread them out so that way it's fair to each one. First of all, what is the Saison Yeast Experiment? I'll put that down in the description. I'll give you the recipe. The recipe, and I'm going to give you by percentage just because some people brewed 5.5, some people brewed 6. I brewed 2.5. I did a small batch for the first time with my Anvil, and they use different systems. So we had 76.5% Pilsner 2-row, 17.5% wheat malt, 3.3% caramel 60. That's where my caramel 60 went. Okay, and 2.7% acid malt. I'm gonna go over the hops too, but basically everybody had the exact same recipe, the exact same hops. They could scale it to their system. They could do whatever they want to modify it to fit their system without really modifying the overall recipe. The hop additions, we had some hop additions I've never put in Saisons, but you know, sometimes you try something, you kind of takes you out of your comfort zone and you go, wow. And the other times you go, not so much. I don't know yet. Needless to say though, let's jump back in here. We have 5.8 IBUs worth of French Strisel Splat at 60 minutes. We have a 6.6% or 6.6 IBUs coming from East Kent Golding at 60 minutes. And then going all the way into the 30 minute, we have an East Kent Golding, 10.1 IBU contribution to the brew, and a French Strisel Splat at a 4.5 IBU. And I'm not giving you the amount of hops because it wouldn't matter unless you're scaling it. And like I said, I'll put the recipe below and you can scale it to what you want and apply your hardware. And then Fugel or Fugel, however you want to say it, Fugel. Also, I've heard Fugel the most. At the last 5 minutes for a 2.5 IBU contribution. There were a few variables that some of us seem to take into our own hand, which, you know, it is what it is. And I like that part because we got to have a little more fun. We didn't necessarily follow the same mash temp. We didn't follow the same everything else. You know, we kind of varied it a little bit. I saw 150 and I went with 150, but I noticed some other people did as high as 158. But the majority did 150, 151, and everybody had a different yeast. That was the key. Everybody had a different yeast, and we all got to pick our yeast. That was what's even more fun. As long as no one else had picked it, you got to pick your own Saison yeast. So got a non-cold glass. The dishwasher's doing an okay job. It is what it is. I don't own the dishwasher, so. Okay, I'm gonna go over each one of these. I'm gonna name the brewery. Yes, you can name your own home brewery a brewery. Yes, it's fun. The name of the person, first name, and the yeast they used. And yes, this is me. I kept it simple. I didn't know everybody was gonna step it up crazy like this, and I don't have a canning system. I can't afford that, and if I didn't buy a lot of other stuff I could, but I have nowhere to put all the cans. I did the washable label so they could reuse the bottle. And I was thinking long term, not wow, impressive. So first, huge wow. I like this. The plastic doesn't break. It's not as fancy and I like it. It makes me feel a little better. But here we go. Let's start it off. We got Big Dog Brewing. This is Dave for the Belgian Saison 2, Omega Labs 042. Next up, we got Woodshed Brewing Company. This is Dennis with Classic Belle Saison. Exit 12 Brewing, we got Brandon with Imperial B56 Rustic. Definitely haven't tried that. Looking forward to checking that out. Now we got Wrecked Brewing, Matthew. This is Imperial B64 Napoleon. It almost looks like a Dogfish Head bottle. Oh, it is. Man, I have a problem with those. They usually break because that tapered glass. But this is Under the Table Brewing. Nate with Saison Stein's Monster Omega Labs 500. We're at Tap Out Brewing, which is Gary with White Labs 590. I know I don't have 590. Kind of a cool name. Lazy Otter Brewing. This is Nikhil, which is Belgian Saison Weist 3724, another one I don't have. And then Bitter Reality Brewing, like I said, I was thinking forward, rinse it off, you keep the label, yeah. But this is me, and it's White Labs 565, which is my favorite yeast. I will give away a little information ahead of time. I was testing way too many things at the same time, and I was testing a new type of designed floating dip tube, and one of the metal components wasn't pure stainless. It was coated and we had a little corrosion, so we got a little iron addition in our salt in the water. So not my best work, but next time maybe I won't do so many experiments all at the same time. Okay, I'm gonna put all these in the fridge except, bingo, yes, Big Dog Brewing. We're gonna do a taste test. Stay tuned. Okay, so our first one is Brewtubers 2021 Yeast Experiment. This is Big Dog Brewing. This is Dave, Belgian Saison 2, Omega Labs, yes, 042. Smells nice. And you can say I let all of them lager so they would, kind of mature. Nice pretty yellow, looks very, very clear. Wasn't any wheat in here, so if anything doesn't clear up, but after the cold crashing, it is probably due to the yeast. And I'm gonna tell you that looks incredibly clear. Create a nice white frothy head. About a finger almost, but yeah. Smells very nice. I get a little fruit going on, but I definitely have that spice. The Saison, I mean, if you don't have spice in your Saison, I guess it's okay, but I like spice. So sadly, my nose isn't as good as some people, and I know some people smell different things, but I just got a nice mild fruitiness. It's no defined fruit. I mean, you could say stone fruit, maybe even a little pear or even apple. Stone fruit would definitely be safe because it's just got a little bit, okay. I'm gonna say a little bit of orchard and a little bit of stone because I can definitely smell, I guess, a little bit of pear. Okay, first, this goes out to Dave at Brewdog. Thank you. Very nice beer, very nice. Sadly, when I realized I had screwed up, I hooked Dennis up with some extra beers to apologize, knowing that it was gonna have a little iron content. But this is very nice. The Pilsner stands out. I mean, Pilsner stands way out. The wheat's more of a mouthfeel, and it's got a nice, I'm gonna say, it's not thin, it's just a nice light mouthfeel. It's what you would expect in a Saison. I mean, carbonation's great, dead on. I know you can go crazy on a Belgian or a Saison and go nuts, but the carbonation's great. Head retention, you still get this nice lacing going on. I mean, there's probably a little bit of the wheat, but I've noticed lately when we were playing with some yeasts, yeast can play a huge role on how the carbonation sticks and how it handles. And I mean, we won't go into detail, but yeah, yeast, I was shocked to know how much it can play. It lingers on the back of the throat a little bit. And it's like, I don't know what that is. I've noticed it in mine too, but it's not a bad thing. It's just, it's probably the yeastiness from the yeast itself. I mean, it's not an uncommon thing with the Saisons, but definitely get some spice. I'm gonna say it's got, like I said, stone fruit and maybe a little pear. There's something else there and I just have not been able to nail it, and I'm probably not going to. It might be one of the, I've used Eastern Goldings and Fugel, however you want to say it, more so in British beers. But the French Strisselsplat is relatively new to me, so that could be playing with me a little bit here, but well done, great beer. Kudos out to Dave, excellent. This is for Big Dawg Brewing. I kind of screwed up, so I want to throw this in there, okay? I want to give you a little bit of the specs on the Big Dawg Brewing Belgian Saison with Omega Labs 042. He used 1 package of yeast, no starter. It was a 5.5 gallon batch on an Anvil Foundry at 120 volts. Mash temp was a little on the high side, 158, and pH came out at 5.5. Original gravity was 1.058. Fermentation temperature was 69 Fahrenheit. Final gravity, 1.004. Wow. I mean, mashed at a very high temperature, but you got a 7% or 7.09 ABV. That might be why I liked it. That might be why I really like this beer, because I love anything up around the 7. I just think it complements it, gives your body naturally tastes the sugar from alcohol, or should we say it tastes alcohol and it thinks it's sugar. So kind of like sweetening your coffee. If you got black coffee, it's hard to taste all the flavors. You add a little sugar and they start popping and you can really taste those flavors. Okay, next up, we got Woodshed Brewing Company, Dennis, Belle Saison. This is where we had to send all of our Saisons, and Dennis then separated them out and shipped out all the beers, so everybody got one of each, unless it was your own, then you held some back. Going into the details on the Woodshed Brewing Saison for the Brewtubers 2021 Saison yeast experiment, he used Lallemand Belle Saison. I'm pretty sure everybody who's a home brewer probably knows of who that is and what that is. 1 package, no starter. Batch size was 5.5%. He used, the equipment was a do-it-yourself Blickman Brew Easy / Clawhammer - natural gas. I need to sit and watch him brew because I need to really understand what this means, but do-it-yourself Blickman Brew Easy and Clawhammer natural gas. I'm thinking maybe it's a Brew Easy system with the Clawhammer basket. I don't know, I'll have to check that out. Mash temp was 150, pH was 5.4. Original gravity was 1.053, which is funny that the gravity was a little on the low side for some reason. Fermentation temp was 72 Fahrenheit. Final gravity was 1.008, so that Belle Saison had no problem there. Came in at almost 6%. We're at 5.9% ABV. And let's take a test and see how it tastes. I knew going in my beer was a little off, so that was one of the reasons I hooked up whoever had to do all the work, and that was Dennis. So hopefully Dennis enjoyed the 2 I sent him. I don't even remember. I want to say one was a stout and one was probably one of my pumpkins that I love, and I'm realizing it's getting close to that time again. Give me I'm already spilling it. Give me a tall boy here, so I got the big Sierra Nevada pint glass. And that's not even enough for it. Wow. Wow. A little more than 2 fingers worth there, at least. And I forgot that this glass is nucleated, so the bubbles are like spinning like a little tornado. I know you're probably not able to see that on camera, but crystal clear. Okay, classic Saison. I've got a little spice. I definitely have a little stone fruit or maybe the pear again. But this is one of the reasons I don't use Bell Saison. I smell bubblegum. I know some of them advertise that in their description, which I'm pretty sure one of the Imperials does, and it's one of the reasons I haven't used it. And I'm pretty sure Bell Saison does not, but I smell bubblegum, and I'm not a gum fan at all. I don't chew gum. I can't really stand bubblegum. I'll occasionally chew something, but it smells like a classic Saison. So I'm not busting on the beer, I'm just busting on bubblegum. Just so you know, I wouldn't do that to the beer. Beer would have to be pretty, oh wow. Got a little yeast conditioning on the bottom there. So there was a little, Dennis, I know you said 1.008, but we might be sitting closer to 1.006 or something. I went from crystal clear to fog. So there's been some additional fermentation going on. Got some yeast in there, some can conditioning, which there are companies doing that. So yeah, I'm fogged out now. I went from crystal clear to fog. So there's definitely some yeast. You're probably pushing 5.9. It's probably pushing closer to maybe 6.1 now. And I smell more of that bubble. It's the yeast. Yeah. Yeah, it's like fruitiness with a little bit of bubblegum in there. And it actually tastes really good, but it's very different from the Big Dog Brewing that we did before. Very different. It's still got the spice. It's got some similarities, but it's different. It's still a Saison. And I'm not saying different like this. I'm saying like different, you know, like sister and brother. They might be the same family, but they're different. So I must say, I've used Bell Saison and have not always been pleasantly impressed, but obviously I was the wrong brewer using it. Goodness, this tastes great. I get a little bit of bubblegum and the stone fruit, maybe like peach. Definitely pear. And I got the spice, but the spice is subdued. I got more fruit than spice, but that bubblegum is kind of overshadowing some of that. It's hard for me to separate them. Very nice. Well done. Okay. Another Saison for the Brewtubers 2021 Saison Yeast Experiment. This is Exit 12 Brewery. It's from Brandon. It's Imperial B56 Rustic. He did a 5.5 gallon batch, Anvil Foundry, at 240 volts, 151 on the mash temp, 5 pH, very low on the pH, the lowest out of everybody. His original gravity was 1.066, fermentation temp at 71 Fahrenheit, and finished at 1.012, which is very respectable, and was at 7.1 or 7.0875. So we'll call it 7.1% ABV. Doing me up with a can, and he's got like everything going on this label. I mean, even the side, it's government warning according to, okay, it's the legitimate government warning. I thought it might be a joke, but it's still kind of funny. I wouldn't add that to my label, it's just me, but hey, I guess if you want to be in compliance. He is the official Brewtubers compliancy department. I'm nominating you, Brandon, to the compliancy department. I find it entertaining, I like it though. Busting on you a little, but liking it more. Ooh, got lots of fruit going on. Don't really smell the spice, but a lot of fruit. Give you a fancy glass too. Whoa. Okay, I got bubble gum. We're a good solid 2 fingers. We got a little haze going on. Definitely have a little haze. It's very mild, but like I said, sometimes, and I know we had some wheat, it wasn't flaked wheat, but we had some wheat in here. But the yeasts, Belgian yeast, Saison yeast, even some of the French, in that area, they're known to give you some haze. It's not unusual to have haze, especially in a Saison, but it's a pretty haze. It's a very pretty haze. I got the bubble gum. I got a lot of fruit when I smelled it from the can, but I got the bubble gum. It's just one of those things that I don't mind it in a Saison too much, but if you're brewing like a triple, yeah, I just can't take the bubble gum in such a strong ABV type beer. It just seems overpowering. I got a lot of fruit. I have almost no spice, and I mean nothing, nada. I got the typical stone fruit. I can't say I got pear. I definitely have the stone fruit. And it's gonna sound weird, but it's almost like a tiny bit of cherry. Very subtle. It would probably be really good in a triple, but the bubblegum would kill me. That bubblegum just plays with my nose and drives me nuts. It's because it stands out so well. It's got a nice acidity to it. It makes up for the lack of spice, because I do like spice in my Saisons. Sorry, it's just a personal preference. But it's got a nice acidic finish across the tongue. Mouthfeel is about the same. The mouthfeel on all of these has been very similar. It's been, I'm not even gonna say medium, but close to medium to light. It's not thin, but it's not heavy. It's just kind of nice. It's as it should be for a Saison. And that wheat is what carries it. The first one, which was Big Dog, I could smell the Pilsner massively. If I'm looking for it, I might smell it, but kind of poisoning the tree because I know the Pilsner's there, but it doesn't stand out nearly as much in the last two. I just get light fruit esters and the bubble gum. It is not an uncommon thing in, like I said, Belgian beers. Bubble gum, nah, I can't even line them up. Now, I will say, sitting at almost 7.1, it seems smoother than the first two that I did. A little lighter as far as it doesn't seem like it's 7%. It might be right at the edge. I'd say if I had to guess, I'd go 6.5, maybe 6.6 pushing it. I'm usually pretty good, especially when I taste a beer for the first time as far as where the ABV is kind of close. Sometimes I'm way off. Not as common to be way off as I am close, but it drinks nice. Be a great beer on a nice warm summer day later in the day. Early in the day you want to keep that ABV a little lower, but great lacing. Lacing's really pretty. Great beer. Well done, Brandon. And we shall continue. Okay, on to the next one. This is Wrecked Brewery, Matthew, Imperial B64 Napoleon yeast. Haven't tried that one yet. He did one package, no starter, 5.5 gallon batch with a 3-vessel electric Herms system, 150 mash temp, Fahrenheit, 5.35 pH, 1.063 original gravity, fermentation temp of 72, ended at a 1.001 for 8.1375. So we'll just say 8.12, 8.14. Yeah, we'll call it. Yeah. It's a big boy with some serious amount of ABV for the Saison. It's all done out too. I mean, he's got the 32 IBU, 8%, brewed, kegged, canned, just about every bit of information on the side you'd ever want. So without further ado, let's check it out. Very Saison-y. This will be the last one in the taste test, and then we'll do 4 more in a second video. Not too worried about mine, it'll be easy. Iron Man, not in a good way. Okay. Crazy clear, been law green for a while. crazy, crazy clear. I got that subtle hint of bubblegum again. Yeah, I know. I'm all about the bubblegum. But I got a little bit of tropical fruit hidden behind that stone fruit, pear, maybe peach. There's something going on back there. And bubbles are in my way, so we're gonna take a sip and then I'll take a taste test. It's a little different. It's got a subtle amount of spice. It's not spicy, but a little subtle hint of spice. I can smell and slightly taste the bubblegum like you would get out of a triple. 8%, it's getting pretty close to a triple in flavor. Could almost call it a triple, probably. But the bubblegum is subdued, which is nice, because I don't really like it in my face, especially when you're hitting around 9%. So, now see, I poured it and it got a little foggy, which tells me there's a little more fermentation going on the bottom. Where were we at? 1.001? I don't know how, but hey. Yeah, there was a little yeast. We still had some conditioning. Matthew, you might be sitting at a little higher ABV than what you thought. It smells and tastes a little more like a triple. Just saying, the line is gray. It's very nice. It does have the hint of bubblegum, but it's got a lot of other flavors going on to kind of complement it, to kind of balance it. A little more balanced. We'll leave it at that. A little more balanced. I swear I'm getting a hint of tropical something out there. Little exotic fruits, but yeah, I've got my peach. The pear is very subtle, but the peach is definitely there. The spice is very, very subtle. The bubblegum, you get it on the nose, you get it on the initial taste, and it's kind of subdued with everything else going on, so it's kind of balanced out a little bit better. None of these have been overly bitter, which is great. The hops have been very balanced. And like I said, I'm not real familiar with the French Streusel splat, so that could be playing with me a little bit. Very nice. Very, very nice. Thank you again for joining us here at Bitter Reality Brewing. Don't forget, like, subscribe, keep sharing. I know this ran a little long. The next 4 we do will be much shorter. We won't have as big of an intro. But we have 3 out of 4, because I'm not saying mine is. 3 out of 4 great Saisons to taste test on the next round. Thank you again for joining us here at Bitter Reality Brewing.